Welcome to the Triple Play Fantasy Football Weekly Show. We're getting ready for Week 4. Stay tuned as we help you win some money and hopefully you win your matchups this week. Tune in. Everyone, this is Triple Play Fantasy. I'm your host, Zach, at FF Triple Batman. I'm joined today by the wonderful Doc at Triple Play Fantasy. And I'm going to say the same one this time just so we don't have any confusion. The wonderful Brad at Sir Bradley K. How's everyone doing tonight, guys?
Doing pretty well, Zach. Missed you last week, but ready to talk some week 3, man. Looking forward to week 4.
Last week was rough. So I was definitely under the weather while also working a significant event at my job while also under the weather. So I needed the rest. So I appreciate you guys covering. But we had a insane week 3. We won't talk too much about week 3, but I did want to get your guys's, I guess, your one takeaway from week 3 before we get ready for week 4. So Brad, what are you taking away from week 3?
Yeah, I was really excited to see what the Eagles' backfield was going to look like once Kenneth Gainwell got healthy. I think we all went into the season thinking it was going to be a three-headed monster with Penny, Swift, and Gainwell. Then the first week rolled around, and it was mainly just Gainwell. Second week, Kenneth Gainwell was out, and it was all Swift, and he was incredible. He almost ran for 200 yards. And then I think this week, you just couldn't deny last week's performance, and you had to give that monster the ball, and Swift kind of showed himself to be the lead back there. So I think DeAndre Swift creeping into RB1 territory is kind of a no-brainer to me.
Love it. What about you, Doc?
If Kirk Cousins stays with the Minnesota Vikings, his arm might fall off by the end of the season. He's thrown 50, 44, and 44 passing attempts. So he's at 138 for the season. And if he was to keep this pace up, he'd be at 782. And the most passing attempts in a season is Tom Brady, who had 733. So Kirk Cousins is just throwing the ball an insane amount. And for fantasy, you like that. You see what I did there, right?
I see what you did there.
There you go. Speaking of throwing the ball a lot, another thing I learned, CJ Stroud, certified good. I'm gonna go ahead and say that now. That Houston Texans offense is really moving the ball. Their running game, which is the only thing I was expecting to be okay, has been pretty bad. It's looking like Devin Singletary might end up getting more time there. But CJ Stroud is good. Tank Dell's good. Nico Collins. That's a really surprising offense to me.
I agree. I think CJ Stroud is a surprising rookie QB so far. I think Anthony Richardson might be the best for fantasy as we go forward if he can stay healthy.
Yeah.
But Stroud definitely surprised. I think it's the offensive line is also hurting that run game. They're missing, I think, 4 out of their 5 starters. So I'd love to see Pierce still get a chance if they get those starters back. For me, my takeaway kind of combines all of yours, except for maybe Doc's, because I think we all knew Kirk Cousins was going to throw his arm off, is we know absolutely nothing. It's now 3 weeks through. I mean, how many things happened in week 1? Complete opposite happened in week 2. And then we changed it all up again in week 3. I mean, how many people lost in their survivor picks this past week with the Cowboys losing?
I'm still alive, baby.
You are, but I mean, I figure a high percentage are already out in week 3.
Zach, this is what you got to do. You just got to take good teams right away. I took Philly, Cowboys, 49ers, NFC powerhouses. And then my friend who's still in took Ravens, Giants, Patriots. Just to show you there is also no way to do this.
But if you would have taken the Cowboys week 3, you're out.
Yeah, that's why you just take who's ever playing the Jets.
Just take the winners.
To be fair,
just pick the winners.
I don't feel bad for people that took the Cowboys after what we saw the Cardinals almost do against the Giants. Like, they don't look as bad as we thought they were going to be.
Shout out Josh Dobbs.
Yeah, definitely shocking. But yeah, no, I love it. This is why we hope you guys tune in every week, because we have no idea what's going to happen, and we're trying to kind of read the tea leaves, help you out, get you ready, and hopefully we're right more than we are wrong. Turn into a more negative aspect, but trying to get you ready for week 4. injury updates. So Mike Williams tore his ACL. You hate to see it. It feels like so much talent, but can't stay healthy. So turn it into a fantasy perspective. Would you rather roster Joshua Palmer or Quentin Johnston now?
I would rather go Joshua Palmer. He's had some experience in this offense before. Quentin Johnston is a rookie, but I would go from a fantasy perspective, Quentin Johnston, because I think that you would have to spend less fab on him. And I don't think there's going to be a clear number two. I mean, Keenan Allen had 18 receptions last week. If Austin Eckler comes back, he's going to eat into that target share as well. So I don't think there's a defined number two. If everything was even, like I said, Palmer, but you probably will spend less fab on Johnston. And especially if you're in a dynasty or keeper league, that could be someone that you would more be appealing to target.
Yeah, I agree with Dak on this one. Palmer was getting targets with Mike Williams even in the lineup. So he's just there. He's their number 3 there. You can count on him. He had a couple drops last game, but in terms of, that rapport with Herbert there, I have the confidence that Palmer's going to get most of those targets going forward. Value never really does the trick for me. I understand the argument Doc's making with Quentin Johnston, and it might end up being right. But I always get burned going for the value play when it's like, two players that could go, it could break either way. So I tend to lean towards the wisdom of the crowds, where it's just like, where that auction is going higher, where everybody wants. That's kind of who I'm trying to target as well.
All right. We do have a question on YouTube. So if you guys are watching on Twitter, we appreciate it. If you want to interact with us, please head over to YouTube. Otherwise, you can leave comments on Facebook too if you're 45 or over, and we appreciate that as well. So we have RS German on YouTube. What do we do with Stevenson? He's running like Eddie Lacy after a bout with China food. I assume he meant Chinese food. I mean, it's the Patriots running backs. I really don't think Stevenson's that bad. It has not been a great start, but I mean, at this point where you drafted him, you're holding. You're probably still starting. We're about to go into bye week, starting week 5. You're probably just hoping they rate the ship. And honestly, if you made the pick on Stevenson, this is kind of what you're signing up for, because we've seen it every single season with the Patriots running backs.
I feel like the Patriots running back one that you draft is never the one that's most valuable. Zeke with Ramondre this year, Ramondre with Damian Harris last year. I mean, even the years that you draft Stephen Ridley early, and then it would be Shane Vereen. Like you said, Zach, this is what you were signing up for if you got Ramondre Stevenson. I never thought that he was worth the draft capital of a 3rd-round pick. I didn't think the Patriots offense would be that good. I am surprised that he's succeeded this much work to Zeke. I mean, he's only has 46 carries on the season and 10 receptions. But like you said, you're holding unless you have a pretty good offer.
Doc, I think you hit the nail on the head. Like, at the end of the day, opportunity is the name of the game, and that offense is just destined to have passing scripts the entire game. Like, they get down early, and that's what it's going to be. So I never liked a Patriots running back to begin with. And if you drafted Stevenson, you have to stick with him, because you can't trade him at his lowest point right now. That just makes no sense. And then if you don't have Stevenson, go ahead and pick up Zeke, because I think it might be worth the low draft cap or the low fab capital there, if he's even on the waiver wire.
Fair enough. Derek Carr injured a shoulder. Looks like he's out for at least a few weeks. Hopefully not a serious injury is what they're expecting at this point. So, Brad, are you concerned about Olave moving forward until Carr comes back, or for the whole season?
I'm not concerned about Olave, because I think he's a bona fide wide receiver 1. I think he's going to get the targets no matter what. And it's not like Jameis Winston's this huge downgrade. Like, yeah, he's going to throw interceptions, but we know he knows how to sling it. I think Derek Carr going down really makes Taysom Hill a huge grab for me, because he's probably not going to get that QB job. But I know he's going to be used in those packages every now and then. And he's still going to get the tight end work. He's still going to get that wildcat work. And if something happens to Jameis or something, then boom, you have a huge Taysom Hill week. You can start him in your tight end slot, and he's going to get you huge QB points. So I think Taysom Hill provides some sneaky value there.
All right. So Austin Eckler still dealing with an ankle injury. They have a bye week in week 5. It would not shock me if they hold him out again week 4. We haven't gotten any word of that yet. let him rest again week 5, and then he gets Dallas week 6, which is not a great matchup to come back to. But going into that, for you, Doc, is Joshua Kelly unstartable now, even with Eckler out?
I mean, I think in a desperation 14, 15 team league, yes. I think in a 12 team, you can do better than him. I mean, he had 11 carries for 12 yards last week, 13 for 39 the week before, and everybody was saying, well, oh, it's the Tennessee defensive line. They're really good. I mean, he looked good week 1 against Miami, 16 for 91 and a touchdown, but his longest carry was 14 yards. So you take that out, and he has 15 for 77. If you take out the 15-yard carry he had against Tennessee, he is 12 for 24.
Why would you take it out?
I'm just saying, if you remove one run, and I know people.
That's what he does.
But he's a plodster.
Yeah, all right.
He's a plodster. So
and then he breaks one.
He breaks one for 15 yards.
And the red zone work. And the targets.
Wait, Brad. And the red zone work? You mean when he failed to convert on 3rd and 1 against the Vikings, and then they threw it the rest of the time in the red zone? You said the
Correct.
Receiving work? You mean where he has 1 catch for 5 yards this year?
I'm obviously going off of his larger body of work. He hasn't played but 1 healthy week.
A larger body of work. He did nothing last year. We thought Isaiah Spiller was the backup.
Eckler did nothing last year?
No, Joshua Kelly.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Eckler.
No, Eckler's still good. He's just hurt.
Eckler's friend of the pod. We don't trash him.
Yeah. No, I hear you.
Yeah, no shame on Eckler. And then last one, Saquon Barkley, also dealing with an ankle injury. We thought it was a normal ankle sprain. Now it sounds like it might be a high ankle sprain. So we have no idea how long he'll be out for. And he seems to struggle with his ankle injuries and coming back effective, even if he's playing. So going forward, do you want to start any Giants the rest of the season? I'm talking about the entire team. Is there anybody that you would enjoy starting?
You have to start Darren Waller if you drafted him. That's it.
Are you going to enjoy that?
I think you should go to Doc with this one because I thought Breida was going to be the guy, and it turned out Brightwell was the one to own. So he's got the pulse on this one.
I mean, once again, it's a desperation. If you need to start a running back with buys or injuries, obviously you're going to, like Brad says, opportunities are the name of the game. And if you drafted Darren Waller as probably a top 5 tight end in the 4th to 6th round, so you're going to start him. But no, I'm not bullish on anyone. I mean, and once again, Daniel Jones, you're probably starting in a 2-quarterback league, but in a 10 to 12, not really.
There's always like one wide receiver who pops up that Daniel Jones eventually like targets heavy. It might be Wan'Dale Robinson. It might be Slayton. It might be, it could be anybody.
You could name 10 guys.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I'm not excited about that offense moving forward, which is unfortunate. So we'll move over to some prop bets. Brad, do you have a favorite prop bet for week 4 specifically?
I do. I haven't seen any lines yet because it's kind of early, but DJ Moore, I'm taking the over on whatever his line is against Denver. He's going to I use PFF a lot for their grades for their wide receiver cornerback matchups. And Surtain basically does not shadow the wide receiver 1 anymore. He just kind of I don't know what they're doing in Denver, to be honest, but he's going to have who are the guys? He's going to have Bassie or Mathis guarding him at least 60% of the time. And in that, he's got great matchups for both of that. I know Justin Fields has been bad, which I think is going to take the line down a bit more and give you some value there. But, Denver just got 70 points dropped on them. I think they really struggle with speed. They really struggle with good receivers. They struggle with everything, really. I think it would be a good idea to attack those Bears lines.
All right. And how about you, Doug? Who's your favorite? What's your favorite prop for week 4?
So I'm going to look a lot at Saints Bucks. It's the famous Mike Evans versus Marshawn Lattimore game. So maybe hammer some Mike Evans unders. But I also like first touchdown score being no touchdown score. So when you look at the last 3 matchups, last year I think it was week 15. The Bucks won 17-16, and the first touchdown wasn't scored till 12 minutes in the 4th when Kate Otten caught a 1-yard pass from Tom Brady. The game before that, it was 20-10, and the first touchdown wasn't scored until 10:49 in the 4th quarter, which was a pick 6 from the Bucks. And before that, the game was 9-0 where there wasn't a touchdown. So recently, there's been low-scoring games, and first touchdown score being no touchdown score, you could probably get it like plus 3,500 odds.
Probably. I like that. How much would you put down on that? A unit? Half a unit?
I would put down, I mean, everybody has their own definition of a unit, but I would put down 10. And if you use something like DraftKings and you do a 50% profit boost, that's, 10 to win 470 potentially.
Yeah.
And I mean, if you think about it too, Tampa Bay just scored 1 touchdown in garbage time against the Eagles on Monday night. The Tampa Bay the Saints are getting Alvin Kamara back, which might change their game script a little bit, but Jameis Winston is fully capable of turning the ball over. So it could just be a sloppy game in general.
Also a miserable way to watch a game, though.
I don't know. I'm all about those unders.
You just don't watch that game.
Yeah, fair enough.
And I have no idea if this prop is out there or not, but just for my own entertainment, the over-under of whether Mike Evans and Lattimore get thrown out, take the over, because I feel like every time they play, they always fight and they always get tossed. So I can't imagine that's out there, but
they might have like a flash prop line for that on DraftKings or something.
Now that's a fun bet instead of the no touchdowns.
Yeah, like do Mike Evans or Marshawn Lattimore get ejected? Yes or no?
Yeah. So we'll see what comes up. But I love those lines. It looks like fun. Now we're gonna move over to Doc's favorite segment because it's Seinfeld themed. Real and spectacular or fake. So I'm gonna give you guys a statement. You tell me whether you believe in it, it's real and spectacular, or it's not true. You don't believe it, it's fake. So Tua will be the fantasy MVP, not NFL MVP, which he could be, but the fantasy MVP this season.
I'm going fake. I know they just put up 70 points, and right now Tua is the QB3. I mean, they put up 70 points, and he only scored 28.36 points. You'd like to see a little more, and I know that's no slouch, but I don't think he's going to be the guy that carries your team. And I also worry about the durability. I think if he takes a hard hit, he'll be under scrutiny and probably closer supervision than if anybody else has, given his concussion history. And it's week 3. It's a long season, and all it takes is one bad hit. So I think you're going to ride with Tua while he's there. He has a great supporting cast, and that team is incredibly fast. But I don't think I'm ready to say he's the fantasy MVP. Maybe if you drafted him super late based on his value, yes. But in general, no.
I couldn't agree more with Doc. I'm going to say fake. If you look at Tua's stats last year, I know a lot was going on last year with the injuries, but if you look at Tua's stats last year, he had a similarly spectacular beginning of the season, and then the last 5-6 games of the year, it was pretty pedestrian. He wasn't giving you more than 20 or so fantasy points each week, and sometimes he wouldn't even get that. They're going to hit a wall. It's a copycat league. Eventually, guys are going to figure out how to not guard this. You can't really guard Tyreek Hill. You can't really guard Jalen Waddle, but you can find a way to maybe slow him down a bit. I just don't think this is going to continue the entire year. And like Doc said, once he gets hurt, if he gets hurt, I'm hoping he does not, obviously, but if he does, it's going to be woe is me, and you have to protect him all over again, and you're kind of worrying about his career as opposed to just the season, and it's going to be a very stressful thing. I think if you have Tua as your quarterback right now, I think you go get a quarterback you trust to back him up and consider trading him at his absolute highest right now because you could really get a haul.
All right. We'll do a quick question from NBA Rig real quick since it's talking about the Dolphins. Will Mostert and Achane both finish RB1 top 12 at the end of the year? No.
Mostert hasn't stayed healthy for an entire season in his career.
Yeah. It's going to be maybe points per game because they'll both get hurt and then their points per game are so high, but not for the season.
Good corrections. Yeah, I like that's a good way to put it. Points per game, they might be there.
Yeah. So real and spectacular fake. Sam Laporta, rookie tight end for the Detroit Lions, if you're not sure who he is, will finish as the tight end 2 this season.
Brad?
I'm going to go fake. I like Kittle, Hawkinson, Kelsey, obviously. I don't see that happening.
Yeah, second is a little rich for my blood. I think Hawkinson finishes above him. I think Travis Kelsey does. I could see him finishing as the tight end 3, though. Mark Andrews has looked a little bit sluggish to begin the year. Darren Waller that was somebody that I was fading, and I don't think I know greener pastures are hopefully coming, but he's 32 with hamstring injuries. George Kittle has injuries of his own. I mean, I think sometimes the name of the game is just being healthy if you're a tight end. I will be interested to see what happens when Jameson Williams comes back. I know he had a pretty unaspiring training camp, but they invested a lot in him, and I'm sure they're going to give him the snaps. They're going to do everything they can to exhaust all their options before they cut bait with him and say it wasn't worth it.
All right. Last one for this. Real and spectacular fake. Start CJ Stroud, who we already talked about a little bit earlier, over Justin Fields going forward.
I'm going to say that's fake. It's close for now. Obviously, Justin Fields has not done what we've expected him to. He's QB1 on this, or QB 21 on the season. Hasn't eclipsed more than 15 fantasy points. But part of the reason you got him is because of the rushing upside. He has 45 rushing yards at least in 2 out of the 3 games. He does have a rushing touchdown on the season. Sometimes he can just be fantasy relevant based on one play if he has a 60-yard touchdown run. And I don't think we've seen that from CJ Stroud yet. I think probably this is the worst that we've seen of Justin Fields. This is probably a buy low opportunity. So I'm starting him over Stroud for now. But if he has a bad week next week against the Broncos, I might have to change that.
I'm going real. I think CJ Stroud's the real deal. Zach, you brought it up. That Texans offensive line is horrendous, and they've been injured. And with all that, CJ Stroud's still been amazing. He's got plenty of time in the pocket. He's finding receivers. Their receivers are running. I would not have bet Nico Collins or Tank Dell would have been, wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2 candidates, but they are. They've just been incredible. CJ Stroud is making all the right reads. I'm not in the weeds on, football enough to know whether this is a matter of scheme or they're just, they're running an offense that's, elementary, and eventually defenses are going to take to it, and he's going to have a rough rookie season in the middle of the year or late in the year. I don't know whether that's the case, but as things are right now, I just think there's too much going on in Chicago, both with Fields' confidence and the offense, for me to have more confidence in him than what I'm seeing from Stroud right now. And Stroud can run too.
Well, Stroud has 35 rushing yards on the year. The next 3 games versus Pittsburgh, at Atlanta, versus New Orleans. Those are 3 above average defenses.
Yeah, we're going to see. We're going to find out.
I will say he has finished QB 22, QB 13, QB 12. So, I mean, I like it better than Fields, but it is a tough one because we have all this hope for Fields, but man, he has looked terrible. And I don't know if it's just him, if it's his coaching staff, it's just that offense, all of the above. But I would say CJ Stroud should not be on your waivers anymore after tomorrow. I think you need to stash him.
Yes.
Great.
All right. So biggest fade for week 4. So which player basically are you saying, you know what? Let's ride the bench this week. Let's see what you're made of first. Who are you sitting, Brad, this week?
I'm kind of embarrassed that I have to say this, but Dustin Smythe. I picked him up after the first week after he had that I think it was like 6 catches, a touchdown. He had a great performance week 1, and then I saw how the offense was moving week 2, and I'm like, all right, eventually he's going to get the targets to pick it up. Then week 3, and it's just nope. He's kind of an afterthought. They don't have to go to him. They have too many weapons. If he's not going to get targets while Waddle's out, he's just not going to get targets. I'm out on Smythe.
So you're not even benching. You're just dropping him. He's done.
I'm dropping him. He's done.
All right. How about you, Doc? Who are you fading?
I mean, I'm fading James Conner because of his matchup, but I feel like I always fade James Conner, and he just does better than I expect. So, I mean, you're going to play him against the 49ers, but I think you have to temper expectations. But I'm getting real concerned about Dalvin Cook. Dalvin Cook has really kind of tailed off this season, and obviously the entire Jets offense has become a little stagnant, but he's not even getting the opportunities we thought. I mean, he had 59 yards week 1 on 16 touches. He had 5 touches week 2, and then he had 11 week 3. Like I feel like the Jets would run the ball more to keep the ball out of Zach Wilson's hands and rotate him and Breece Hall in, but he hasn't even looked remotely close to the Dalvin Cook we saw last year. I know he signed with the team late. He's coming off a shoulder injury of his own, but I don't think you can play him. And he might even be somebody that in shallower leagues you're cutting.
Like it. Before I say my fade real quick, we do have a question in the chat over on YouTube. So Ventro asks, I have Lockett, Thielen, and Tank Dell. So he has a wide receiver spot available and a flex spot available. So which two of the three do you start? Lockett, Thielen, Tank Dell.
Easy for me. That's Lockett and Dell.
Yep.
I'm with that too. Last week against Seattle,
unanimous.
They were trailing 14 targets. I mean, I look week one, two targets, 12 yards. I think Thielen will have good games here and there. He's more of a DFS play.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. And my fade this week is Joe Mixon. Simply, they are playing at Tennessee. He hasn't looked great. He hasn't looked bad. I would say he's looked fine. That offense is definitely off a little bit. I know Jamar Chase had a big game, but Burrow's not healthy. You can't tell me he is. We all know he's not. He's still going to get it out. And then that offensive line has not come together yet this season. So for me, against that, I mean, you're just going to throw as much as you can against Tennessee. They are a pass funnel defense. So I am fading Mixon this week. He's currently ranked 13th for running backs in consensus ECR. You might not be able to bench him because of how you drafted, but I definitely would try to if I could. I would not expect big things from Mixon this week.
Let's get to our Riggs question before we bow out here.
Absolutely. So Riggs asks, how would you guys rank the following 5 quarterbacks rest of the season? Geno, Fields, Deshaun, Goff, and Mac.
This is a really tough question. So I'm obviously going to go Fields last. I guess I'll go ascending order. I'll go 5 Fields, 4 Mac, 3 Geno, and then 3 Deshaun, and then I'll go Geno and Goff 1.
I have Goff 1, Geno 2, Fields 3, Deshaun 4, Mac 5.
So I'm going to go the same as Eric, but I'm flipping Fields and who'd you have? Deshaun 4th?
Yeah.
Put Deshaun 3rd, Fields 4th for me. But yeah, that's a tough one. I don't feel great about any of them. You're just hoping one of them gets 2 touchdowns if you start them.
Consensus, we like Goff and Geno.
Yep.
Yeah. And we're not a fan of Mac Jones. We don't like dirty players.
No, Mac's out. Yeah, you can nut top him right off your roster. And for the last segment, we got to finish with Doc. Who is your random tight end touchdown of the week for week 4?
All right. I swear I'm going to get it one of these weeks, but I'm going Luke Musgrave for the Packers. 8 targets last week. Doesn't have a touchdown on the season. They play Detroit. Detroit always seems to be playing high-scoring games, and he's going to get his first touchdown and hopefully do a Kylan Granson post.
He's due. All right. I love it, guys. So this is AAA Fantasy. Make sure you like the video while you're here. Subscribe to the channel. We got you covered in multiple sports. I mean, baseball's coming on right after us live. If you're catching this after, you can still check out the video. We got you covered in basketball, which that season, I can't believe NBA is already starting up real quick. So make sure, like I said, hit that subscribe button. You don't want to miss out. Best way to support our team. Thank you all. Good luck in week 4, and we'll see you getting ready for week 5.